Welcome to another episode of the Raidercast, your podcast for everything silver and black. I am your host, JT, and today I'm going to be going over the top 10 running back / run game offenses in the NFL in the upcoming 2022 NFL season. Now, to start off, we have the Seattle Seahawks at number 10. Seattle Seahawks may come as a surprise to be in the top 10. However, I'm a big believer in Rashad Penny. I think Kenneth Walker was a great draft choice. And also, you also have Chris Carson coming back from injury. So I think that run game should be a lot more improved than it was last year. And it was still a pretty decent, just outside the top 10 or just inside the top 10 running game. So being at number 10 isn't, maybe people don't talk about it enough, but I think they are a top 10 run team, especially because they don't have the passing capabilities of Russell Wilson anymore, and they're focusing with Drew Lock and Geno Smith as their quarterback room, which should put more pressure on the running back room to perform more, which I think they should, especially combined with Pete Carroll's more old school mindset of run, hard-nosed offense, combined with a more defensive play style. I think their team should be definitely a really good run team. Now, coming in at number 9, I have the New England Patriots. With Josh McDaniels leaving and also Mike Lombardi, you also have, so you have those two leaving, but Bill Belichick loves his run game. He loves that hard-nosed, smash-mouth football, just like Pete Carroll. Very old school, so you will still see that happen. They still had a really good run game last season, averaging 4.4 a carry, 126 yards a game, over 2,000 yards. I still think we'll see that, even with Josh McDaniels gone and having Joe Judge and Matt Patricia take over the offensive play calling capability, that. And also, but Bill Belichick will also have some say in there. So I still think there'll be a top run team. That's just how it goes. Mac Jones isn't like a very big passer, especially last year since it was a rookie year. We'll see how he does this year. But I think their run game will be their big focus for their offense in the 2022 NFL season. Coming in at number 8, I have the Miami Dolphins, which is probably a big surprise for a lot of people as they were a bottom 3 run team last year. However, Myles Gaskins is still back. They have Sony Michel. They added Raheem Mostert. They have Tua Tagovailoa. They just have a very deep running back room now. They also have Mike McDaniels now as their head coach, which comes from the Shanahan tree, which is a very well-known run-heavy offense or very creative run offense. So having them also, they have Alec Ingold as their fullback, which, as Raider fans know, he's a pretty good fullback. They just have a really solid running back room. They also have Chase Edmonds, which I didn't even talk about, who was pretty decent in Arizona last year. And Tua can also run the ball pretty decently as himself. So I think their run attack will be a very good run attack next season. Coming in at number 7, I have the Tennessee Titans, which might be a bit low for people, as you would think they would be a bit higher. However, with it just basically being Derrick Henry, and they don't really have any other backs that I think are that great, but it's still Derrick Henry, and I still, as long as he's healthy, expect him to get over 2,000 yards, especially with the departure of A.J. Brown. We're not really sure what the receiving room is going to look like in the passing game, so I think there'll be a lot still heavily focused on having Derrick Henry run that offense. As long as he stays healthy, he should definitely most likely get over 2,000 yards. That's just how he does it, and even if he doesn't, they have enough to make it over that mark, which is why I have them a little lower. Even though they were top 5 last year, I don't think they'll be as good as last year, but we'll see how that goes. Now, coming in at number 6, I have the Green Bay Packers, which also may be a surprise for people. The Green Bay Packers, I think, will be much more run focused this season, as they do not have a very strong pass game. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is a great quarterback. I'm not saying he's not the problem. It's their wide receiver core, which is not very strong at all. With the departure of Devontae Adams to the Raiders, I think they'll be much more focused on the run game, which should be really good. They have a top 5 O-line, so they should have a really good run game with their almost dual-headed dragon in A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones. So I think that duo should be really, really good. Last year, they were a decent run team. 4.3 a carry, 111 yards a game, just under 2,000 yards at 1,900. But I would definitely think there would be an improvement as Matt LaFleur, while he's had Aaron Rodgers as his head coaching career, but he's from that Shanahan offense. He's from that old school, more running the ball and creative running. I think he'll definitely be able to implement a solid run game in Green Bay with that top 5 O-line. Coming in at number 5, I have the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo Bills were pretty much carried last year into the top 6 by Josh Allen. He had over 700 rushing yards, and I don't expect that to slow down, maybe just a little bit. But I think they'll definitely lean into their running backs a bit more. They drafted a new running back, James Cook, who's the brother of Dalvin Cook. So if he's anything like his brother, they should have a really solid back there. They still have Devin Singletary, who I think is a pretty damn good running back. Josh Allen will, of course, still have his legs to just dominate teams. They averaged 129.9 yards a game last season with just over 2,200 yards, and they averaged 4.8 a carry, which is insane. I still think Josh Allen will still have that explosive potential with his legs, which is why I have them at number 5. And then continuing on in the top 5, I have at number 4 the Cleveland Browns. Now, the Cleveland Browns are have always been, in the past few years, have been a very, very good rushing team with their dual-headed dragon in Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. Last season, they had Dearness Johnson come in when I believe their running back room was depleted down to just him, and he played a really, really good game against the Broncos, and proved that they have 3 solid running backs. And I believe that they'll still be a really good team. I don't think they'll be top 3, but they'll definitely be a top 5, which is why I have them at number 4. They were a top 4 last year. This is the exact same spot they were last year, which I've seen them staying because I think they'll just have a very consistent run game no matter who the quarterback is. But especially if Jacoby Brissett's their quarterback, which I assume will happen, they'll definitely be leaning into that run game, as Jacoby Brissett's no Deshaun Watson. When it comes to playing, Jacoby Brissett's an actually decent person and doesn't, rape a bunch of people. But I still think they'll have a really good season in terms of running. 5.1 a carry is just insane. Nick Chubb has over 5 a carry, I think, in his career. They had 2,400 yards, nearly 2,500 yards, and they had 145 yards a game. So I still think they'll have that same level of production from their run game. Now, coming in the top 3 is the Indianapolis Colts with Jonathan Taylor, and that's really it. Nyheim Hines is a solid, decent back, but it's mostly the Jonathan Taylor show, which, bar injury, which I don't see happening, is why I have them in the top 3. They were the second best team when it was pretty much just Jonathan Taylor last year. 2,500 yards, 5.1 a carry, 149.4 yards a game. They had a really, really good run game. They have a really good O-line, especially in terms of run blocking, not so much pass blocking. They have really great run blocking, which is why I have them at the 3 spot. I kind of dropped them a bit lower because I have one of the teams that was below them last year above them now. They're just always going to have a good run game as long as Jonathan Taylor stays healthy, which I see happening. Now, coming in at number 2 was the team I was just talking about, the Baltimore Ravens. Lamar Jackson being fully healthy, you have Gus Edwards being fully healthy, you have J.K. Dobbins being fully healthy. I see no reason why they won't have a really, really good run game next season. I think Lamar Jackson's going to have one of his best seasons of his career, especially in terms of running the ball. I think they're really going to focus on that, especially when they don't have an established wide receiver or receiving option other than Mark Andrews. I think they're going to be a very heavy run offense, especially with those 2 highly touted, highly touted, I guess is the word I was looking for, highly touted running back duo that was injured all of last year. So I'm assuming that they're going to have a very explosive year this year, especially in terms of the run game. Lamar Jackson, I believe, even had like 600 to 700 yards, even though he only played like 9 games last year. So I think they'll be just fine in that department. And in terms of the best run game in the NFL, which they were last year, is the Philadelphia Eagles. The combination of Jalen Hurts, you have Boston Scott, you have Miles Sanders, and you have Kenneth Gainwell, all there, plus probably one of, if not the best O-lines in the league. Definitely top 2 or 3 for sure. Honestly, probably number 1. You will have an exceptional run game. They had a great one last year. They averaged 4.9 a carry. They had 2,700 yards, 159.7 yards a game. They just were very explosive, and they didn't start really running the ball super well until like week 6 or week 7. So if they consistently run the ball like they should have last year at the start of the season, I think they'll have a very, very, very good run game. So that is my top 10 run teams of the 2022 NFL season. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think are going to be the top 10 teams, or if you disagree with me, let me know. And I will see you all in the next episode. Peace out, Raider Nation.